people are all watching TV and seeing this guy on the Johnny Carson show. Uri Geller was his name. And he'd use the power of his mind to bend a spoon. Also, Jeannie Dixon. Oh, she's so cool. She is saying that airline 305 is going to crash next Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Does the pilot cancel the flight? No. Does a plane ever crash? Usually not. But still, Jeannie Dixon is seeing the future, and Uri Geller is bending spoons, and all this cool stuff is happening. I'm looking at this, my one possession, and I'm thinking, I can turn this 10-speed into a bus trip to go see the Guru Maharashi to receive knowledge, because I wanted it that bad. I wanted spiritual power. I wanted to know what was going on in the universe. But mostly, I wanted my brain to be fixed. Because at this point, although I looked like a cute little high school kid, I wanted Brigitte Bardot hair, don't you know? I had straight hair, but I wanted it curly. So I go get a perm, and I ended up with a little Orphan Annie, my hair all just up into a big ball. So before high school, I'd be ironing my hair out. My hair was down to my butt at the time. Ironing my hair, here it's chopped off. And I'm like, oh crap, I'll be late for school. So I go to school, it still looks like crap. Anyway, at the time, here's what was going on. We had the Ouija board. Okay, my mom brought the Ouija board home when we were about 6 or 7. And I remember when we took that thing out of the box. That was fun. Oh boy, we put it down, got the card table out, put the board down, and we each start like, hey, you're pushing it. I'm not pushing it, you're pushing it. And the thing is just floating around. We're asking it questions. Little did we know, that is one of the biggest occult door openers that you do not want to mess with. In every culture, there are certain things you just don't want to mess with. Every culture has evil spirits. Don't be fooled by this whole, in our culture now, yin and yang, what is good is bad, dark is light, don't worry, be happy. It's all the same thing. It all works out. What comes around goes around. Good is bad, dark is light. What? What? So you're saying that if my little dog runs out in the middle of the street and gets flattened by an 18-wheeler, that's good? Oh yeah, that's good, because now the beetles and the crows have something to eat. No, my little dog, I love my little dog. Okay, so you're saying my grandpa just had a hemorrhage stroke and ended up dead. Oh no, death is good. Death is somehow good now. All right, so this is the relativism of the world we live in right now. It's a dangerous climate, because in every culture there really are evil spirits. And a lot of people don't know this now. The little people in Ireland, in Ireland, they have the little people, and they don't seem blatantly evil, but they're just like little people see all the time and have for hundreds of years in that culture. They'll say, I'm a little people. I'm just going to sneak around your house and steal a few things while you don't notice. I usually do it at night. Oh, what do we got here? I think I'll take Father O'Blarney's poo paper. So, yeah, in every culture you got these creepy little demons, they're called, in a lot of cultures. So Father O'Blarney comes home, and it doesn't seem like a big deal, but I'm going to tell you what, to him it is. It's like, hey, where's my poo paper? I've been looking for it all day long. I knew it was in the pot. It's the little people. The little people took my damn poo paper again. Now here we've got other little creepy spirits. A lot of times they're called aliens. Did you ever notice how the aliens, you kind of take a cat's face and stretch it out, the eyes, and scoop their ears back? It looks just like an alien. Aliens must have hijacked the cats or something. Okay, anyway, every culture has its evil spirits. Now, how do these things get into people's lives? How did they get into my life? We'll go into that in a moment. But we're also talking about the Ouija board and how that's a big door opener for these spirits. So now, oh, how handy, we have a door here for our little illustrations. Let's do a tiny bit on the door. But first, I'll show you a painting I've been working on. It's got a wee people in it. This is called what is this called? John was high, and a little person appeared to him.
Is it John Lennon?
John Lennon. John Lennon was high. A little person appeared and explained to him the flat earth theory using a pancake. How you like that? We'll talk about that in a different time, about the big door opener DMT, which is being used all over Silicon Valley right now, by the way. Oh, it's getting so much easier for the evil spirits to open them doors now. I tell you what, they used to have to like really push hard, and they had to promote certain stars, like, oh, let me not get off on the door quite yet. A little more intro into the door. In the 70s, when I was growing up, guess who of a big rock star was? The Doors. Jim Morrison. Guess what he based his name on? The Doors of Perception by Aldous Huxley. A book about the psychedelic experiences that he had under the influence of mescaline in 1953. You just had to really dig around for this stuff. I mean, go out and find the psychedelic mushrooms, trek around in the desert for a long time, and get heat exhaustion, and lie down for a while, and wake up the next morning and hope there was a commune nearby. Oh, nowadays it's just like you cell phone, call your local dealer. I like to order up, it's like ordering a pizza. I like some mescaline with, throw a couple hits of acid on it and some pepperoni. And can you have it here in 5 minutes? It's just express. Everything is express nowadays. It's mainlined. All right, so the doors. How did I get these doors open? And again, pretty hard for the evil one to push them open back then. Now, so easy. Here's a door. Works pretty well to keep people out. Stay out! That's what they're for. But nowadays we're just like, come on in. Here's why you don't want to open doors on these evil spirits. Sometimes you might get something good. Eh? Who's there? Oh, my name's Kata, by the way. Kata, are you there? It's your clone. I want to come in and do some free work for you because I'm your clone. Oh, come in, Kata. All right, where's the fucking work you got for me to do? Or sometimes it might, that was a good thing. Sometimes it might be something very bad and you don't want to open the door. Come in. Oh, hello, Kata. Ooh, ha, ooh, so you don't want to open every door. You especially don't want to be messing around with DMT, hallucinogenic drugs. Why is it that, not that I've ever been to a certified witches meeting or anything, or any of those pentagram meetings where they all stand around, Kubrick style, eyes wide shut, this kind of thing, masks and full garb or lack of garb. Never been to one of those. Never been to a child sacrifice thing, none of that. But I do know that they use hallucinogens in those meetings. Why? Why? Because they're tremendous door openers. Just lightning fast. Think about booting up your computer in 5G, which I don't like, and we'll be talking about that later. But 5G will get that, woo! Okay, you want to really open up those doors to the evil spirits. Get on some hallucinogens. That's why I suggest you don't. I suggest you stay clear of those. Now, we're also going to be talking about how to get out of these things once you're in. Now, when I started getting into this stuff, just through the Ouija board and just through the yoga and things like this, my art changed a lot. It's got really weird and trippy because that's where my mind was. An artist, what they paint, an artist like me, also often paints just a world of their inner world, an exterior world of what's going on inside. So here is this kind of birds of thought painting, bad image, sorry. It's got these chained birds. They're all weighed down by these heavy locks. These were the locks on my mind. I literally couldn't tell at one point, and this lasted for months, whether I was dreaming or awake. I couldn't tell. I mean, if I'd been a cutter at the time, who knew you'd be able to cut yourself a couple of decades later, maybe to feel some pain. We didn't know about that then. So I couldn't get out a box of razor blades and be just like, is that real blood? Yeah, that's blood. And that, oh God, that really hurt. I must be awake now. I didn't have that little litmus test, so really couldn't tell if I was dreaming or awake. So I ended up having to go to my art school. The only place I felt really comfortable was in my art class. And when I told my parents what was going on, they were like, don't be like the other kids. You're supposed to be a good girl and make straight A's because we're social workers and we got to have good kids, okay? Even though this family is really woohoo, we have to act like we're really together, okay? So keep it together, keep it together, keep it together. Meanwhile, I'm just going, what? Crazy. So I end up in my art school, hanging out afterwards, real cool, just being like, she says, how are you doing, Kate? And I said, not good. I'm really messed up. I can't tell if I'm dreaming or awake. And she says, you know, I've got a friend right now, and she's finishing up her clinical psychology degree, psychiatry or whatever. She can come over to your house for a while. And we set this up every Thursday, talking about doors. Knock would come on the door. After school, my parents conveniently forgot all about this, but this went on for a few weeks. And this nice lady named Lois would show up. She traded me a piece of art for her specialties. Hello, it's Lois. She came to try to fix my mind. And we read Jung together, and we talked about my dreams. And during that time, I did the trippy piece of art here, which was also about my psychological inner world. I don't think I can find it right now. Anyway, it was something about how, oh yeah, here it is. It was about how time had become compressed. I was like a living trail. It was like, here's a baby and a golden thread, and the time is going so fast that it's like by the time the child or this moment happens, then it's the next moment. That's what had happened to me in this very trippy drug experience I had, which is why I ended up not being able to figure out if I was dreaming or awake. I got a hold of some bad, they called it tripweed. Anyway, so what I had done by taking this probably marijuana mixed with some hallucinogen was, here's a good analogy I use. It's like, the problem with evil spirits and things that open your mind, doors that open your mind up to evil spirits, is this. Although everybody in our culture pretty much says everything is good, everything is not good. I mean, people jump off buildings, people suicide out because of this. It's like a bad Vietnam experience. It's like shell shock. I mean, people can't handle it. It's like brain injury. People do have to out themselves over these kind of experiences. And a lot of people, they don't tell you this either, end up in loony bins because of these drug experiences. They never come out. Stuff is really dangerous. So these door openers are dangerous, and they're to be avoided at all costs. Now, how to get out of them, I'll be explaining that in just a little bit. But here's the way I explain it. All right, so you're like, well, I don't know what's in the bag, but there might be a tarantula or a killer scorpion, and I'll die within a second of when I put my hand in the bag. Or there might be a Twinkie in there. Oh, hell, I'll try. Usually you get the scorpion. That's what I got when I did the marijuana with the tripweed. Okay, I got the scorpion. Now, if it hadn't been for Jesus Christ, I probably would have ended up suiciding in my 20s. I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle the headspace I was in. And we'll talk about that later. And we'll talk about how easy it is to get out of all these traps that the evil one lays for us. And we'll talk more about the evil one. We'll get more into this. But this has been kind of a primer, if you might say, on spiritualism, the doors that open up to people to it, the things in our culture. And what you young people might be dealing with today will be in a slightly different. The evil one changes the game a little bit. It's the same picture, it's just a different face. It's the same deal, but he just puts a different slant on it. So now you're probably getting opened up to evil spirits through the movies you watch, the video games, There's probably even a frequency in your cell phones. While you're playing the games, they probably downloaded some frequency that interfaces with your brain waves that makes it much easier for you to get opened up to being possession or oppression. We'll talk about the differences between the words oppression, possession. What is a total possession? Hardly anybody is ever, by the way, this is good news, Linda Blair, head spinning around 360 degrees, completely possessed, floating off the bed, none of that kind of stuff. Usually people have levels of possession where the evil one takes over the controls of the brain for a certain amount of time. But that's very limited. Usually it's just a very quick possession or oppression, like, wow, I didn't know I'd just get so mad that I'd be like shaking my cat and almost killing it. Oh, was that me? Okay, that was limited possession. That's usually what happens to people. Oppression, we'll talk much more about these different things, but oppression is like a heavy dark cloud. It's like, oh my God, can I even get through this day? Let me just try. Put a sandal on. Oh God, it's too much work. And you abandon the project of putting the sandal on that day. You decide to just hang out and watch Netflix for the rest of the day because putting the sandal on was way too hard. I know you know what I'm talking about. So thanks for watching, and we'll get back with you soon.